As small business owners, it's so important for us to talk about our businesses in the highest form of regard.
This is like a paycheck and a half of my normal job. And we did it twice in 5 days.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do?
Hi. Hi.
You have to suspend the requirement of knowing how you're going to do it.
If it has to work, it can't fail.
Can't fail.
Yeah.
Somebody got to make this happen. How is it going to happen? She said, I don't know, but it has to happen and we'll figure it out. And that's what we do.
I caught myself booking us for every weekend of November and December.
Yes.
And somebody has some choice words for me.
I didn't leave a 9-to-5 for 24/7.
Food is a universal language. When we eat together,
And drink together, we learn together.
and there are few topics more important to learn
And more taboo
than money.
So join us as we travel around the country, supporting small businesses,
Enjoying delicious food
having amazing drinks, and
and
putting money on the table. This episode is sponsored by Control Card.
Control Card is a prepaid card that puts you in control of your financial future. It allows you to get paid up to 2 days faster with direct deposit.
Hi. Hi.
It's the card that puts you in control of your finances and empowers you to level up. But you know what else?
Control Card supports and celebrates minority-owned businesses like Three Parks Wine Shop. Yes. To check out their full business directory and all the other ways the card can help you, visit www.mycontrolcard.com.
All right.
All right.
All right, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.
Clearly, that's plastic. We can add in an effect. He's like, "Ooh, I ain't hear nothing." So we wanted to bring you guys together specifically to talk about bringing an idea to life, like a small business or a side hustle, because I know both of you guys have kind of done that. This is your first time meeting. And so I'm also confident that in the process, there'll be some friend stealing, which is fine. We've done it. There might even be literal business collaborations happening. Right. Sharing client lists and stuff like that. But I do, But I kind of want to start with just kind of like introducing yourself and your business and kind of like where you guys are. So I'll start with you guys.
Cool. We are Richard and Dana. Our little business is called Keebler's Kitchen. We focus on barbecue, and Dana does a lot of cupcakes.
And baking.
We started our business
All the baking.
in the summer of 2019. And it just kind of sparked from, I used to do a lot of YouTube content, and folks would say, well, you should sell food. And I'm like, well, I got a job, so I don't really have time to do that.
But this is just fun for us.
Yeah, it's just fun, something to do. And then during that time, we actually decided to keep her at home. She decided to just be at home and watch the boys. And we're like, well, how can we substitute the income that we lost? And boom, we started the business. And within the first couple weeks, we had like our first catering gig. Wow. And it's been booming ever since. So we're extremely grateful. Things have been well.
And how old are your boys?
9 and 4. 9 and 4.
Yep. Employee 1 and 2. That's what we
Make
call
it
them.
right. Now, Shannel, you were my first role model in terms of entrepreneurs who incorporated their children into the business. He about to cry. Come on, drama. So I wanted to hear more about your story, how you started, how you also incorporate your kids into your business, and even family.
Yeah,
it's more than just the kids.
I was a wedding planner first before I became we opened an event rental business, and I had to make a choice when I had AJ. All right, being a wedding planner takes up so much of your time because your brides are your babies. I couldn't do that no more. Like, I have actual babies. And so, but I love the industry. I love the service. I love bringing people's visions to life. So I was like, I want to stay in it in event rentals. And we had this conversation. I was like, it's going to take a whole lot more financial input into it to get it started than wedding planning. There's really no secret to starting that. So we made that decision, and it's kind of like y'all. It was one of those things where we're gonna go for it. We're gonna try it out for a couple months, and then you're like, wait a minute, and it just started rolling. The ball starts rolling. But I opened the business with the intentions of my kids. Like, this is with them, not even really for them. If they don't want to be in it, they don't have to be in it. But they're here. And like our kids, Avery wanted to be here today. If she could be on film, she was walking out the door with us today. She was like, she was kind of mad. Yeah, she, she was at an event with us on Friday. She said, Mommy, I want to work today. So we took her with us, and she has a little shirt on, and she did half a row of chairs by herself. We record her because people want to see her before they see us, But our kids, we wanted our kids to be a part of it so they can see not only what we do and how hard we work to give them what they ask for, that Roblox money, that Fortnite money, that accidental $200 bill you get when your son,
Alexa,
you forgot to turn off Alexa.
What do they actually, so they literally help out?
Oh, absolutely. So the way that our business operates now is we pop up at breweries in Metro Atlanta. So we just, we'll prepare food at the kitchen. We'll go to the brewery, set up for 3 or 4 hours, or if we sell out sooner, then we go home sooner. But they're there with us from the entire time.
Oh, you played a cute kid card.
Oh, it works. I mean, it works. That's right.
I love it.
Help us fund their college fund.
I can't say no to these kids.
That's right.
Because they're cute. That's right. Well, they have their shirts on, and they're running around the brewery, and they're like, yep, they belong to us. Come on over here. Come see us. We got ribs, cupcakes. Let's go. But yes, they're very much a part of the day-to-day, and when we go to catering events, even if we're dropping off, we did a wedding rehearsal. They came with us too, and they just know this is what Mommy and Daddy do now, therefore this is what you do.
Yeah. And our oldest son now, he wants to be like a part of the business, right? So when he sees the lines start to elongate at pop-ups, he's like, hey Mom, I got the register, you get the sides.
No, seriously.
And we're like, whoa, all right. Yeah. Of course we gotta pay him with Fortnite money or whatever it's called. Whatever it's called. Yeah. But it's like, hey, but you've earned it, and he, it's so cool that he wants to be a part of it, right? That's the one thing. Our youngest son, he's still like, hey, look, my iPad's over here.
You can take it or leave it.
It's no big deal. But the oldest one, he's like, if I see you guys getting behind, I'm gonna jump in and help get the rush over real quick, and then he'll go back to playing with his brother, which is, helps us a lot.
Right.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Your kids may not like that they're there, but our kids they ask us to come. There's a difference in that they're asking us to come, because we could have a babysitter, we could have a nanny, but they're like, no, I want to come today. I want to be a part of it. So we grew our business with our kids. We asked them their input on it a lot of times, like, do you like this? No, whether it really makes a difference, but they feel like they're a part of it. And so that's how we intend to grow the business as well, with them being a part of it. I mean, it was never an option that they weren't. Yeah.
It's still funny to me. So a client will come in for like a design consultation, and so Shannel will be sitting there and going through stuff, and Avery's gonna sit there with her notepad. Now she's scribbling, but if you think that she's not part of that conversation and that she doesn't know what's going on, and so I want gold chairs, she'd be like. Now she didn't write gold chairs, but that don't matter. She was there, and she knows what's going on.
It's amazing how much they learn when they're watching us. Like, you think they learn a lot at school, and they do, but just being in the environment with their parents who are doing something brave and new is a huge education.
How long has that process been from the idea of thinking that you wanted to maybe take it from just a hobby to where you are now?
So it happened all in that first summer where it really just kind of, we were like, oh, this is gonna happen, we're gonna do this. I left work in May 2019. We had a catering gig for graduation. So, that always happens around the end of May, early June. So it was like, okay, well, we'll just do this. We did it pro bono because they said they liked our food, and we're like, okay. The reviews and the feedback that we got was crazy. So we were like, so maybe we should do this. By the end of June, we had applied for the LLC and just started going. Now, it is now 2 years later where it's still a work in progress every single day. However, it was that first summer that we really knew we want to do this.
I remember when similar to your story, like before you had to make the investment needed. But I remember you bought like a space, right?
The warehouse.
You bought a warehouse. And I know that was a bit of
into it.
a journey.
Yeah, we had been obviously using like our garage, our house. And you gotta remember, we own hundreds of chairs. So my house was the warehouse. Then we had just a regular little storage unit. And I was like, this ain't gonna work. He gonna kick me out. Be a single mom.
We had conversations. I was like, you couldn't walk in the door sometimes.
But I remember I passed the sign and I had been, even praying about it. You're like, hey, I gotta do something. We gotta make a move. We're gonna do this. We gotta do this. And I saw a sign and I walked in the spot and I was like, this is it. This, and I tried to FaceTime Anwar. And this time he was still working. So I was doing my, trying to make this come up. He's still working full time. And I walked in, this is it. Like I'm gonna crunch some numbers. And it was a great price at the time. And so we did that. We ran out of space there. I need another one. So right now we're actually operating in 2,000 square foot spaces. And we're looking actually to we're in the process of either purchasing, there's just not a lot of warehouse opportunities where I'm at. We just gotta go up. So we're at that spot.
Come on, growth.
But yeah, in our world, you never have, it's a constant battle of purchasing because all our stuff is huge. Yeah. We're always ordering big things. And
by the way, I ordered another 150 chairs. I'm like, where are they gonna go? Right. And so I'm at the other warehouse. I'm standing there looking like, you got any ideas? And I'm talking to AJ. He's like, well, Daddy, how high can you go? I don't know, son, but we're gonna keep going till it starts leaning, and then we'll figure it out. Because when she started it, I was still, in the rail industry, and so her goal was to retire me out of the rail industry. She wanted me to come over here and do this. And she's like, I appreciate everything you're doing, but you're working so hard over there. And so I want you to come over here and us do this full time. So I was like, all right, well, if you replace my income with what you're doing over there, then we'll have a conversation. And one day she was like, hey, we need to have a conversation. I was like, oh, for real.
So that's me.
I thought you was play pimping, but no, we had that conversation and we started making transitions. It happened a little sooner than we planned. Yeah. But we did that and we have not slowed down like a bit.
Now I remember you guys, because we did lunch one time, I remember, and I'm guessing that was probably, I want to just call it like the halfway mark. And I think you were still kind of cautious about making like a big investment. Because like, what do you call it? What's that big smoker you have?
I've got an offset grill.
An offset?
Yeah.
His name is Hancock.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my boy. Yeah, I had to, man.
I love
Yeah, I had to, yeah.
But before you had that, you had it just like on a regular grill.
Just on a big green egg.
Okay.
Yeah.
And a Weber.
Yeah, and a little small Weber, and we literally had to like cook in cycles because we were making so much. Yeah. And then you kind of sit back and say, well, I can get a lot of my time back if I have a much bigger unit, but it's gonna cost us a whole lot of money. Yeah. But we talk about faith and all that stuff. We had a neighbor who does barbecue competitions for a living. Like that's his deal. And he just had the smoker in the back of his house. And it's just sitting there. And he's like, man, look, I like it, but I don't like the labor that comes along with it because you literally have to feed it fire. You have to feed it logs every 30 to 40 minutes. And he's like, do you want it? And I'm like, of course I want it, but we can't afford it. And he's like, well, shoot me a number because my wife just wants it out of the yard. And I gave him just a number just to call his bluff. And he's like, do you want me to take it to your house today or what? And I was like, dude, are you serious?
That day,
he backed it right down the driveway. And it was like, yo, what the heck? So, instead of spending, instead of spending, $8,000, $9,000 on a unit, we spent like $1,000. And, it's in the yard and it's been producing like crazy. We had to do a little fine tune it. Right. It helps us with business. I get a whole lot of time back, which for us, time is money, right? So if I can throw my whole cook or the majority of it on in one session, why not? We still haven't gone 100% full time yet. Okay. So it's still a very difficult thing. So I'm an engineer 9 to 5, and then I'm doing barbecue after that, which takes 10, 11 hours, right? Right, for real. So, and it's always like, I grew up in the South. You always hear that term or that phrase, hey, you better not quit that good job. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we had a really big thing happen for us recently where we catered for the 76ers when they were in town playing the Hawks, right? Yeah, so that
explains a lot.
That was huge.
They was a little
yeah, that was
slow
huge.
getting up and down the court.
Lobs. Oh, Collins with one hand on top of Embiid. And then the slam through.
Hey,
We
won the
appreciate
series, so
you.
We'll take it. But you know, when on the back end of doing one of those, we ended up doing it twice. But on the back end of one, it was like, yo, this is like a paycheck and a half of my normal job. And we did it twice in 5 days.
And we were like,
Like, time out. So we just need 2 or 3 of these a month, and we can make it work. But you know, as we kind of talk about it, and maybe this is something that we should probably not do in the future, is just keep our thoughts to ourselves. But as you start to talk about it to some folks, I think they start to kind of put their fears on you, which ultimately then you start to second guess what you're doing and if it makes sense and stuff. So, you know, we're still trying to figure out like where that happy medium is.
and I think that's the hard part for us right now. I think that's the hard part for us because the end goal is still very gray.
Right.
Like, do we want a food truck?
Right.
Do we want a brick and mortar? Do we want brick and mortar to go to franchise? Like, what do we want? But we are so concentrated on our love being in the food that we're not wanting to give up control at all. You know what I mean? So if it comes to a brick and mortar and having to get staff and everything, like literally our staff, Xavier and Donovan. That's it. It's the 4 of us, and that's it. And you're talking about having to have somebody come in and make my cup. You're not making my cupcakes. Right. I'll make my cupcakes, you know? So that's really been a struggle for us because in the long run, it's going to stunt the growth if we don't get help.
Right.
Because there's but so much that we'll be able to do on our own without breaking down our family and our marriage and our kids and all that kind of stuff. So finding a happy medium and balancing it against what the end goal is. That's our current struggle.
Right.
And that's come up a couple of times. I want to talk a little bit more about taking that leap of faith because we get asked that question a lot, right? And I'm sure you guys too. Like, people see you're doing well and they're like, what's the secret? There is no secret. There is no
I
secret.
just got interviewed, and that's the first thing I said.
What are the
There
5
is no
things I need to
secret.
do? And I was like, it's everything, anything necessary,
And more everything.
and a couple more everythings that you might forgot the first time. Like,
And when you get tired, keep going. Don't quit, keep going.
I mean, take a nap. But then keep going.
but it sounds so
Don't quit.
cliche, but it's like consistency, right? If you continue to show up and do your best, honestly, the world does not have a choice but to recognize your presence, right? And that's something that I've learned. And I'm not the most religious person in the world, you know what I mean? But that's something that I've just learned. Someone asked us the other day, like, man, I see you guys out here. It's amazing what you guys are doing. And, you know, and in the part we inspired, you know, his desire to step out there and invest in himself a little bit more. And I was like, he was asking like, what's the secret? And I was like, I don't have a choice, but I can assure you, your approach in doing it will change if it has to work. It can't fail. You're gonna put your foot in them ribs every time. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. So yeah.
So we obviously are in the event world. 2020 was not kind. So instead, there were no events. We just pounded the pavement and we went inside everybody. We talked to everybody. And that when we came back, we was gonna be ready. So people remembered that. So here we are, it's July, whatever it is, in 2021. And we've done 200 events. Me and him, 2 other people, and our babies.
Come on now.
So, and you gotta remember, there's been maybe 20 Saturdays. Most events happen on Saturdays. I would say 90% of events happen on Saturdays. So we're doing 200 events in a span of what would be like.
So we just crossed over the halfway mark of the year. And you guys have already done 200 events.
And that's, I'm 200 plus. And so we're at that point where we actually said in July, we need to sit down. We had to stop. We need to take our babies to the zoo. We need to take our babies to the park. We need to go see family. We need to go check on people. And we've had a couple of extra circumstances that happened in the last couple of months that made it even more harder for us to pull these things off, but we still did it. And it's like, okay, we're at that crossroads where we need to just look at ourselves in the mirror, take a deep breath, step back for a second, not pick up the phone. I can't meet you. I can't do anything.
Be comfortable saying no.
Be comfortable saying no. And it's so funny, like, you're not supposed to tell me no. You're the main one I need to tell no to. Like, and they always like, you should start saying no, you're doing too much. Well, I'm gonna tell you no.
Yeah.
During the pandemic, people were watching. And if you have a business, if you're starting it, people, they watch you. And I realized, so when she started the rental aspect of it before I jumped on board, people were like, they wanted to see if that first year was kind of like a fluke. Right. Like, are you really that good? Yes. Was this an accident? Yes. Maybe you got lucky, right? But they were watching that first year. They'd be like, oh, you did it again, year 2. Oh, you might actually know what you're doing. You might actually be pretty good at this. Now year 3, it's wide ass open. Right. Yes. And they're like, oh, well, just call Shannel. Right. Oh, well, just call Shannel. Like, it be other rental companies, yo. It's other people that rent stuff that technically would be competitors and be like, well, have you called Shannel? And sometimes be like, yo, stop telling them to call us, yo. Like, y'all messing up all my weekends. Like, I wasn't doing nothing this weekend. You ruined that for me.
We wanted to take a month off for the last 2 years. It's been my dream to take the month of September off. It's my birthday, our anniversary, and it's just like a good period in the year.
It's kind of fall,
Labor Day,
it's
fall.
warm.
It's not too hot, not too cold. Like, it's the perfect month to take off and spend on the West Coast, because I've never had a lot of time on the West Coast. And every year we say we're gonna do it, but then it's hard to say no when that money start coming in. 'Cause it's like, ooh, we just got asked to speak. Ooh, we just got asked to do a brand campaign, and it's like, that is very inspiring, because I want to be able to do that, and it's important to know how to plan for your budget and like account for that in advance, so you can do the things that you want. Like, the reasons you started entrepreneurship is so that you have the flexibility and the freedom to do stuff like that, which you couldn't do other than like marriage, maternity, and like bereavement in a corporate environment.
Yes.
It's just be like, nah, I'm taking it off because I want to take it off.
I failed at that last year. Because of the pandemic as well, the local breweries weren't doing much, and that's typically how we make the bulk of our money, right? So we converted our business to like pickups. So we do bundles. We put some ribs, some brisket, some mac and cheese in a pan and say, hey, come pick this up for $50, and that will work. At the later part of the year, crazy enough, the brewery started to open a little bit faster than everything else, so they were starting to call. But we had made an agreement, and we still try to do it now, that we only want to do pop-ups twice a month, because we want to try to give 2 weekends to the boys. Right. And November and December. And to ourselves, right.
You matter.
I matter.
Well, hey, that's the real responsibility, right?
Everything ain't about them.
But November and December, I caught myself booking us for every weekend of November and December, outside of the holiday weekend. And somebody has some choice words for me, because I just lost focus of some normalcy. Right. I'm like, man, look, we had these goals this year. We wanted to do X amount of pop-ups and make this amount of money. We can make it up here. And she's like, no.
And I was like, no, we can have the conversation on this is how our goals have altered. Right. Like, let's alter the goals, because there were things that happened in the world that we had zero control over. Exactly. So don't let that kill our morale when it comes to our bottom line goal. Exactly. Forget that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
We get to set our own goals. It's not a corporate environment.
Revamp. Well, okay.
You're pointing at me
all the time.
But sometimes I'll admit it. Like, when it's popping, it's like, listen, don't. I mean, nah. When dreams are coming true. I'm just saying. When you hot, you keep shooting. You know what I mean? And when dreams are coming true, you don't pause. Right. You know what I mean? They're like, ooh, it's too much. Like, nah. You run with it. You know what I mean? And honestly, there's no right answer. There's no right answer. I don't believe there's a right answer. And I think this is also where you start to learn why you marry the person that you married. You know what I mean? Because every now and then one person needs to be navigating and assessing like the damage that you left behind, because you didn't have time to look behind you. You sprint. You sprinting. Yeah, but that's real. But I have to remind myself, like, I didn't leave a 9 to 5 for 24/7.
It is still 24/7 because you're never not turning it off.
Right.
But I can say, you know what, I'm not working today.
Right.
I'm gonna put my phone on Do Not Disturb, or Rachel, you answer the phone, or somebody else, or whatever the case may be. I'm gonna go to Chuck E. Cheese with AJ and Avery today for lunch, and you cannot do that in your corporate world. Yeah, I gotta eat that piece. That piece is good though. Is it? It's kind of good.
You get to control the intensity of it. Like, cause you don't get to turn it off. Like it's between our warehouse and our house and our cars. Like we know we have a business. Like it's evident that you have it. But today, you know what? We're not gonna let it hit us like a fire hose, right? We're gonna wash our hands in the sink today, and that's okay. But you have that choice when it's up to you. When it's up to somebody else, I need my product.
Right. You know what that makes me think of? Because again, we get these questions a lot about entrepreneurship and wanting to take that leap and faith and tactics and what tools and systems are you using? And honestly, I go back down to debt freedom often. Because to your point, it's like, I can afford to go several periods of time without earning anything or without having to go crazy to do that. And that has actually been the key to success. I can afford to fail. That was one of the best periods of our life because we paid off our mortgage on our old home on her birthday in 2017. And the period of time after that, so weird. It's weird going.
See it in both of your faces. It's like,
I mean, I got lost in the moment.
Question mark.
You feel like you forgot something?
It's almost like the only thing you really pay for is electricity, the food I'm eating, cars, everything was paid off. Everything.
Everything was paid for.
You approach work differently. You approach problems differently. Your marriage differently. Your vacations differently. Everything. Just from that thing. And I'm not advocating that everyone go to that extent because for some people that doesn't even make sense. But to your point about like what debt freedom does to you, not even just as an entrepreneur, like just as a married couple, just period. Like what that does is so freeing.
From our standpoint, being on that debt-free journey allowed me to be able to put in my notice at work because we were already at the point, this 2019, May 2019.
And at that point,
so
everything was done except for the house.
So I mean, we were paying mortgage and then like your day-to-day, your phones, the electricity, things like that. But that was the only reason because I'm gonna tell my story for a second. I had a full panic attack at work. And my job, or what I put on my shoulders to be, was the mentor of my coworkers. And I was like, I am allowing my coworkers right now to see me in this space. I'm not doing my job right now, you know what I mean? So that's what kind of set me over. And that particular day, was this on your birthday or like the day before? I don't even know. I ruined his birthday. I ruined his birthday that year. I'm so sorry, babe. But so sorry. Because I came home and I was like, nope, not going back. Can't do it no more. What are we going to do?
And I just told her, quit.
And when he said that, I was like, what? I can quit my job.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even think that could be an option, but he was like, Dana, we've done all these things already.
Same thing he told me.
Like,
we did it.
Yeah, that's why we did it. That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
He was like, we pay for our house every month and we pay to live every month. And you already know, like every Tuesday is the meeting, okay? Every week. We go through the spreadsheet and blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, I'm sorry, I'm not as enthusiastic.
Why do y'all do these impressions? Every man sounds like a caveman.
Tuesday at 8 o'clock, the alarm
goes off and it's like,
like, get up. I know you in the bed.
Get up. But it's what we gotta do. And sometimes I let him do it by himself, and I love you, baby, but God, it's just, but you know, he's like, we've already done this, and he has to pull out the spreadsheet for me again to see, like, literally, I was paying for the boys to go to school every day.
Right.
For what?
Yeah.
For what?
Yeah.
I could pay your school. My mom was in early education. I got this. You know, I can do this. You know what I mean? So it made sense, but it didn't click until it just had to be said. And it just had to be put in front of me while I was in that vulnerable, in that vulnerable moment. And he's like, we can do this. And I was like, we can. We can. And that's the only reason why we're in the position that we're in now, where we're able to take on this entrepreneurship, because we set ourselves up for that.
Yep.
As small business owners, it's so important for us to talk about our businesses in the highest form of regard. Even though the goal isn't what we want or as high as we wanted, you still need to be able to say, I made twice as much money as I did last month, even if you made $2 this month and $1 last month, it's still twice as much. You need to gas yourself up, because corporate has all these tools and tactics to give you the feedback through annual reviews and 360s and evaluations and managers and promotions, but that's absent from our stuff. We have to do it ourselves. We have to meet with other business owners and be like, yeah, that's boss, that you are on your way to achieving a goal. Right. So when I look at where I am right now in July 2021 and I say, oh, I'm not where I want to be, we didn't hit the goal yet for this year. But last year, when I was looking at what I was doing that year and thinking about what I wanted for my business, this is exactly where I wanted to be. I wanted to be able to charge a certain amount of money for our time. I wanted a certain amount of flexibility. I wanted access to clients that I loved and respected, and that's exactly where we are. So it's you can't forget how far you've come, even though there's still more that you want to go to.
Right.
So what do you say to the person that has the idea, that has made, let's say, the initial investment, they put themselves out there, they're seeing signs of life, maybe it's a side hustle for now, but they're looking and they're on the fence. What advice do you give them? I know we said it's not as simple, there is no one thing, but if you had to choose one thing, maybe there's 5 things, but the one thing that you think is probably most important, what would you say?
To the person who is, I don't know, can I do this, whatever, don't put the negativity in the air. We were just talking about it. What you want, say it out loud, write it, tell somebody else. Tell somebody else who's gonna have your back.
Right.
Because not everybody's gonna be there for you. Right. And it'll be the perfect stranger that's there for you. Yeah. Okay, let that be known, because it won't be your best friend.
It may not be, right, to your point, your parents, it's their job to look out for you and to tell you, don't you go down this path. Right. It's scary, it's
and
unknown.
It may not be your spouse immediately.
Yeah,
right?
that too.
Your partner, but at first.
It means everything, and it'll mean more in the long run if you bet on yourself. Because if you're giving all of your time to the corporate world, give that time to yourself. And tell yourself that you can do the thing, it'll happen.
Absolutely.
It'll happen.
That's something that we definitely do a lot. It's just words of affirmation. We just talk to ourselves. We made a tradition after we became debt free. Every year, except last year, of course, we would spend the new year in the Caribbean, spending some time looking at the previous year, what we did well, looking into the future, what we want to do better in the next year. And that's something that we did from. We would take it down even to parenting, what I did, what I thought I could do better next year as a dad for my kids, what I can do next year better as a husband. And then we started to incorporate what we wanted to do for our business, right? And then, like she said, she gets on me about the every Tuesday meetings, but those little things you kind of go back and look at and say, all right, this is what we said we wanted to do. Have we done them? Or what haven't we done? Or why haven't we taken the necessary steps to get it done? But more importantly, you just got to do it too, right? You can't be paralyzed by thoughts. Yeah. You actually got to take action, and that's something that that we still struggle with. But when we look at each other and we talk to each other, we remind each other of that, and we take that next step. And we'll post something on social media. We'll do stuff pro bono to get people to react, to post a video for us to say that everything was good. Or if it's not good, I want you to tell me that it's not good so I can fix it, right? I don't need to be surrounded by yes men or women. I need true advice. So just do it. Just fucking do it. Just do it.
Yeah. I would say something that I've learned from my wife, and I love that she does it, although it drives me insane. Because I say that because it's not my natural tendency, but you have to suspend the requirement of knowing how you're going to do it. Because I ask her all the time, I'm like, how are we going to do this? And she'd be like, I don't know, we just are. Right. We just gonna make it work. And I'm a plan person. I came from operations. I'm a plan person. I don't know does not give me much reassurance. Somebody got to make this happen. Right. How is it going to happen? Right. She said, I don't know, but it has to happen, and we'll figure it out. And that's what we do. We take the next step and the next step and the next step, not knowing if it's gonna hold you up or not. You just keep stepping. But if you wait to figure it out, you're gonna wait your whole life away. Like, you can't do that. And so that's the envelope that she pushes. She just jumps, and I'll be like, all right, here I come.
And you gotta catch it.
Ladies first. It's not gonna look like what you think it looks like. And that's what people get hung up on. Well, it has to look like this, and it has to look like this. And it's not gonna look like any of that.
Right.
Everything you think it's gonna look like, it's probably gonna be the exact opposite. But that's okay. So, like, that's what I've learned from her. And I love it and hate it at the same time. Because we get a situation, I'll be like,
Well, here's to faith, family business, and finances. And finances. Clink, clink.